idea how to play this guitar. But I do have the new build blues, which is a thing that I think I just made up actually. Our Blazer doesn't start, so today we're diagnosing this thing so we can get it running again. The weather's starting to turn, it's gonna be getting nice again. I wanna take my family out in our truck. And I wanna pop the top off of this thing. So yeah, we gotta diagnose this thing. I think I'm gonna charge the battery because it's a little bit weak. I got a jump pack on it. For guys that don't know this truck, this is our 87 GMC Jimmy, which is a K5 Blazer. And it's got a good old LS engine in it. Although it's not being good to us right now. We've had our fair share of issues with this thing, but you know, we're working through it. This is how new builds are, you guys know. You drive it until something fails, you fix it, you keep doing that until stuff stops breaking. What I will say is, I'm gonna charge our battery. You guys heard it kind of puff a little bit, so I think it wants to start, which means it probably has some fuel, probably has some ignition. It's missing the whole concoction, you know, the thing that goes together, you know? The mashed potatoes and steak, and the pork fried and the rice. The sushi and the ketchup, you know? Well, you know, we got to get it running, so. What do these engines need? Fuel, air, spark. Let's check into it. All right, first thing I'm gonna do is pull off our like air or snorkel QB. Let's get out of the way. Make sure that we can do what we need to do later on. So we'll get that out of the way. Kind of dirty and oily. Not that bad, but there's some dirt and oil in there. We do have a PCV system hooked up, so that's kind of to be expected. But what do we need? We need fuel, air, spark. Air is kind of, you know, an easy one, because it's everywhere. So we probably can say it's getting air. And all joking aside, by the way it was cranking, definitely sounds like we're getting our air. And what I mean by that is that it sounded like we had compression, which means that there's air in the cylinders. If we didn't have compression, it would sound, when it's turned over, it would go whee, like we lost a timing chain or just the pistons weren't moving. So as long as the pistons are moving, we probably have air. Now, one thing I will say is you got to remember air in and air out. Everybody thinks, you know, when you're talking about fuel, air, spark, it's going in. The problem is people forget that a lot of times your diagnosis might lead you to the air going out, a plugged exhaust system. Now, I don't think we have that. We just built this exhaust system. I am noticing we have some spark plug wires that don't look great. Let me show you. Here's one. That doesn't look fantastic. These look okay. So we can kind of move on from air for the most part. You know, I don't believe it's an exhaust system issue. We just built it. Don't believe it's an intake air issue, because unless this was filled with rats or something, a rat's nest, which it wouldn't be, we wouldn't have that problem. It does sound like we have ignition because it tries to stumble on. So I'm leaning towards either totally fouled out plugs or issues with coils where the ignition is dropping out and picking up, and which also could be cam sensor, could be crank sensor. You got a couple options when you put these things together, these LS engines, is you can put together an LS engine with a stock computer. When you hot rod it, throw in something that never came in. I have an aftermarket computer, so if you didn't watch that video, go back and watch. We put a Holley Terminator X on this car, on this truck. So go back and watch that if you didn't, but that's what we have on here. So we also don't have a tune in the computer. So I haven't had issues with it without the tune not starting, but you know, maybe it's a little bit colder, I don't know. But it does sound like it wants to go, there's just not enough there. So I'm wondering if we have maybe just a little bit of a fuel problem, a little bit of an ignition problem, and together they're just not letting the thing run. I don't know what it is. So the first thing we're gonna do is, before we start giving it anything externally, we are going to, I'm gonna crank the key to the on position, and I want you guys to look at my fuel pressure regulator and see if we're getting fuel pressure up to the regulator here. All right, so right here is our regulator. It's dirty, but we want to be in between 40 and 50. This system's supposed to run on 43.5, so keep an eye on it. All right, it did come up to what it looked like, maybe like 41, 42. It's close enough. It will start with that if that's correct. What I will say is that the way that we have it routed is the regulator is before all the fuel stuff. So there's a filter, and then the regulator, and then the fuel rails. You can put these fuel systems in a bunch of different ways, where the regulator's after all the fuel gets going to the injectors and things like that. There's a bunch of ways to do it, but ours goes through the regulator to the rails, which means, you know, if there's something wrong with the regulator, let's say on the inside, you know, and it's not getting fuel through, but we know it's going through our fuel filter because it's getting up here. So I think we can probably rule out that it's a fuel filter issue because we're getting the pressure we need after the filter. So I think I'm gonna force feed it some fuel now. We're already there. And we're gonna see if it lights off, because then we can isolate it to a fuel issue. If it runs smoothly or cranks up and sounds like it has more than the cylinders that it had before, then that means we're dropping off fuel somewhere. If it doesn't start or whatever, then, you know, we're either looking further into a fuel issue, meaning there's fuel issues everywhere at every injector, or we're probably looking at ignition. All right, for reference, this is a can of fuel. And by that I mean it's the cheapest brake cleaner that I could find. I'm just gonna force feed it down in there. That's enough to cause a fire. Okay, you tell me. We're at the eye doctor. This is eye doctor rules. Was that better or worse? 1 or 2? That sounded worse to me. That sounded like it didn't want to fire at all. So that leads me to believe by giving it the fuel, we gave it too much fuel, which means it's probably getting the fuel that it already has, and then adding some made it worse, which means we probably have an ignition problem. All right, so just to make sure we're checking all the boxes when we diagnose, we are going to try to get this thing into clear flood mode, which is basically on any engine computer where you basically are telling the car that just run the ignition, don't add fuel. We want to clear out the fact that maybe it's flooded already. Basically what that is, you know, whatever number is basically in the car's file of throttle position, like say 65%, 75%, 80%, whenever it goes past that number, say the foot is all the way to the floor on the gas pedal, it will basically cut the fuel and just let the ignition run and see if it can get the car to get all the fuel out and fire off. So just to see, maybe we have too much fuel, I don't know. We'll just put it in clear flood mode, foot to the floor, and crank it. Better 1, better 2. I think better 2 on that one. It sounded like it wanted to do something for a split second. I'm leaning towards I don't think it's a fuel issue. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking we have an ignition issue. So let's pull a spark plug and see what we got. I'm just going to start with one, the closest one that's easy to get to right here. But I'm feeling this is going to, like a wildfire, spread, and we're going to end up taking all the plugs out. And that back plug back there is a bear to get to, so I really don't want to deal with it. But if we have to change them, we have to change them. So let's start with this, take a look at it. With these LS engines, especially like depending on what you're putting it in, what you're going to swap it into, you need to have every different flavor and length of 3/8 extensions and ratchets, because some of these things get tight in whatever you're putting it in. And you know, you want to be able to get the plugs out without taking the cab off the whole truck. Oh my God. They're drenched. They're soaking wet. I don't know if this is going to focus, but you see how it's like reflecting the sun on it? These things are soaked, which means they're probably all fouled. So every one of them has to come out. But we may have found our issue. While I'm pulling the next one, I'm paying attention to how the wires feel on the plugs. you know, maybe a wire slipped off or something. Things like that. So when you're diagnosing things, don't just haphazardly, you know, pull things apart, because you might find out that something was not put together correctly. And around here, considering I put everything together, I mean, the likelihood of something being put together incorrectly, incredibly high. Another soaked, just soaked plug. I guess I'll just get started on taking them all out, because that's happening. Another thing I'll say is I think I put iridiums in this, or double platinums, just by the way they look. Platinums. If your tune isn't correct, you know, a copper plug or something like that's going to be a little bit more forgiving. It's got more surface area. And that's just my experience. I don't know if there's any scientific fact to prove any of that, or if it's true at all. But in my opinion, if you've got a tune that's not exactly correct, or a hot rod that, you know, doesn't always run great, this one is the wettest one so far, you know, a copper plug will be a little bit more forgiving. This is one of those moments where you wish that you didn't eat so much around Christmas, or like the whole year, because I can barely get to that plug, and I think it's mostly a belly problem. These computers are supposed to have self-tuning. To me, that just means I can drive it around for a little bit before I get a tune on it. You cannot just let these things self-tune, because this thing self-tuned itself into these crusty spark plugs that are covered in fuel. So, you know, while I agree that you can self-tune itself, you know, till you can get to the tuner, it's not a permanent thing. All right, well, let me just pull them all out then, and then I'll come back and I'll tell you, you know, what you already know, which is we need a set of plugs. Probably gonna need a set of wires too, so we'll probably do that. All right, back from the parts store, like 40 minutes later, which is cool. Just got plenty of time to waste, you know. I do have time to waste, so let's not kid around here. When I got to the parts store, I had to take an SAT and answer a bunch of questions about the car and engine and make and model. Does it have four-wheel drive? What wipers does it have on it? What color is it? You know, what's your mother's maiden name? But after I was done, you know, failing the test, I got these, which I got because I had him sort all the spark plugs that were available by cheapest. Right thing to do, I think, you know, if you're asking me. And, you know, you got to make sure you gap these when you take them out of the box. So, you know, yeah, that's 40 thousandths right there. And I just spit all over it. Also, when I unboxed the first one, I made sure to drop it directly onto that piece of metal down there, which is a stool that I'm using. So that's good. That probably won't work. But, and I don't remember which one it was. So it's not like I can, you know, be preventative about it. Anyway, let's jam these things in. Putting spark plugs in is like fishing, because if you don't put it directly where it's supposed to be, the engine ain't going to take the bait. You'll be turning, spinning, and fighting and cutting your hands into a million pieces for hours for no reason. Also, I neglected to get wires when I was at the store. Well, I didn't really neglect. I didn't feel like paying the amount of money that they cost at the store. It was like $55 for these tiny little things. So I bought them on Amazon. So we'll get this thing running, and then we'll throw those on when they come in. Well, what am I doing? I heard the dreaded fall, but not hit the floor thing, and now I can't find my socket, which is cool. Got it. All right, got all the plug wires back on. Plugs are in and tight. You know, you can sit in these things because it's huge, but while I was stampeding through here with my gorilla hoof, I snapped off one of the terminals that I have grounded to the cross member for one of the fans, but that ain't gonna stop us from running it. So let's just see if she starts. All right, that's a win right there. Starts right up. Actually runs awesome, sort of. I mean, the tune is definitely not close, because that's how we ended up in the problem that we are in right now. So, as far as the diagnosis part, we're kind of done, sort of. There's a second part to this. We've got to fix why that happened in the first place, which is the tune and messing with that stuff. And you guys know, I'm like, you know, top-notch intelligence. Like, you know, like, I could just see like a, you know, like a math equation half finished, like on a chalkboard, and just like finish it. Yeah, I know, that joke's played out. I'm not that smart. So tuning is not something I know a lot about, but I did buy a course from Joe Simpson, who's like a Holly guru, and he does a teaching course, and I did complete the course, and I think I have enough knowledge to mess my whole graph up for my truck. So we'll start with that. We're gonna lose the sun probably pretty soon. So I think what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna throw a headlight in this right now, because it's something that it needed for a while, and I just want to get it done. So we'll throw a headlight in this thing. We'll put our air tube back on, and then maybe we'll let this thing run and warm up, and depending on where we are with the sun, maybe we'll slap a computer on this thing. Got to replace this one, and these are sealed beams, and they're a little bit weird. My parts store did not have these, and I'm coming to find out now that I'm a new K5 proud owner, is that these are not like just you can get anywhere headlights. Maybe you can somewhere else, but not where I live. So let me take this out and show you what I'm talking about. Let me tell you the first annoying thing about these headlights, which is that they're torque screws. Like, come on. I mean, I'm as big a GM fan as anybody else. I mean, who are we trying to impress here? We're gonna look super fancy while we're drilling this thing out after it snaps or strips out. These are, why would they put this? I guess this is easier than today's modern cars, where you got to take the whole front bumper out and the cylinder heads off, and then pull the transmission out of the trunk in order to get a headlight out. You know, maybe I do prefer this, but Torx, I'm still mad. Apparently there's like an order of operations with this thing too, like PEMDAS. Anybody remember that? If you don't, I think you got to take the bottom screws out now, which is like, you know, like you got to do parentheses first or something. And then you can take the top screws out, which would be like exponents, you know, and then multiplication, division, and addition and subtraction, right? Oh, that's cool. What did I say about stripped out bolts? Oh man, cool. Well, let me go get another one of these now. Well, I just took this whole thing off. Not tough to do, but you betcha I was annoyed about it. I just saw myself losing the screws, and there's a pile of dry leaves underneath me because we're in the backyard, which means if I had dropped that screw, you're more likely to find it in China than you are to find it right where it fell. Okay, well, it happened. I did just dump screws on the floor, so I guess I'll just buy a plane ticket to China. Here's the back of these headlights. It's like these little weird pins. They're not like full-size blades or anything like that. They're just, you know. This one's corroded. Good chance that could be an electrical connection issue, but that's fine. We'll just throw parts at it. Now we've got to put our little grill back on with half the bolts that originally fastened it on. All right, well, we're just putting back the screws that we do have. I'm just not even going to look on the floor for the other one because it's gone. I'm sure of it. So 2 out of 3 ain't bad, right? I mean, if you ask Meatloaf. Tell me if that thing comes on. Okay, it's not on, which is not good. Maybe we're missing a ground. Okay, I think we're back in diagnosis mode. So let me go get a test light, I guess. All right, we got our trusty test light out, which is honestly one of my favorite tools. All right, so if you're not familiar with a test light, it literally is a light bulb that you have your negative, or this could be a positive, I'll get to that in a minute, and then it has a probe which is this pointy part where you could stab into wires, which is not my favorite thing, but it sometimes has to be done. You could put it into connectors and get, you know, a good connection. What we're going to do is we're going to use the clamp for ground right now. So I'm going to clamp it to our battery just because the battery's right here. It's the best ground we can get. And I'm going to check for power in our terminals. Nothing there. Oh, we got something there, but it's corroded. So the more I see, I'm touching the metal right now. See? But depending on where you are on that terminal, you lose connection with it. So this needs to be kind of sanded back a little bit. All right, so we got to clean that connection. That's number one. Now we're going to check our ground. Now remember, this is just a light bulb. And really, the light bulb is just a filament inside, so it doesn't really care which way you put the electricity, as long as it gets power and ground. So kind of doesn't matter what you use. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go reverse, and I'm going to check our ground inside our headlight socket. So now this is going to seem confusing, but trust me. Now I'm going to take our clamp here and go to our positive, which, yes, I have this battery charger on here. Can't get this thing on. So now I've got a positive, and now I'm going to look for negative with this, which should be this other terminal. See, there you go. See how the light lights up anyway? Because what I'm doing is I'm just giving this test light power and ground however I'm giving it to it. But the way that I'm doing it is, instead of power here and ground on the clamp, I'm doing power on the clamp and ground here. So it's completing the circuit regardless. And that's good news. That means that both our power and ground inside this terminal are both good. So I'm going to go inside, turn the headlights off. I'm going to clean these terminals. I don't know if you guys can see it, but this terminal at the top here is like bluish because it's got like a water intrusion and it's corroded. And this one's just right here has some corrosion on it also. I'm just going to clean those off and plug our headlight back in and check. All right, that's good. It works. All I did was sand back our terminals. I'll say it probably needs a little bit more filing on those terminals because that light is not as bright as that light. Another thing I'll say is that when I thought we were going to be diagnosing this light, which I left on to kill the battery, because that's my favorite, dead batteries, I brought out a jumper wire, which is literally just some alligator clips I got on Amazon and some loose wire that I used from something else or whatever, and I have probably 100 of these in my garage because you never know when you're going to need a 20-foot jumper. And I don't mean basketball. I also don't know anything about basketball. Is that even a thing? Is that a term? Okay, so I brought this out just in case we had to go any deeper. What I could have done, or I could have done this even without the test light, is I could have taken this jumper wire and gone one side of the jumper wire to our positive and force fed this headlight a positive to see if that's what we were missing. And I could have connected the alligator clip to ground and given it a ground to see if that's what we're missing. So in other words, if it wasn't lighting before and when I give it a ground it comes on, that means the power is good, it needs ground. If I go alligator clip to positive and I go, once I give it a positive it comes on, that means it has ground, it needs positive. You know, I know it's basic, but you know, for guys that don't know and guys that are beginners trying to learn, that's a little bit of tip. You can't have enough of these jumper wires. All right, well, what am I doing? Well, actually, I think I'm probably just loading the plugs that I just changed right up with fuel, but I couldn't resist. I had to take this thing for a drive. And I want to get it warmed up, and then maybe I can plug it into the computer and see if I could, you know, learn. After all, what I have to say is that I did build this truck and this engine with this fuel system in order to be a guinea pig for me to learn. Because it's easy enough to get an engine in and out of it. I've got room, and you know, it's just an old truck motor with some little bit more forgiving parts in. So yeah, that's what this is. This is my guinea pig. I gotta say, if you guys follow the channel and you know that I swapped the fuel injectors out for smaller injectors, originally I had like 1650s in this thing, and that's because that's what I had on the shelf. Now it's got like Deca 80 pounds, Siemens Deca 80-pound injectors, and they are way better for the car. The car runs like a totally different car now. Now it's not fast or anything. It's not even quick. It wants to do something when I hit the gas, but the tune is just so far off that it's not really gonna. It's not gonna be the most pleasing drive if you're after performance. But we'll get there. All right. So, what am I doing? Well, I'm in the truck right now. I'm currently downloading the original tune file so I could save that to start. And then I'm going to enter the magical world of wizardry, and I'm going to try and do some tuning with this computer.
What'd you do?
All right, well, little update. It's another day. Got to tell you some stuff. Last night when we were getting ready to plug in the computer, I realized that my Holly communication cable didn't work. So I ended up messing around with the computer for a while, uploading firmware, downloading firmware, uploading, Oregon Trail and whatever, floppy disks, stuff like that, CD-ROM. So I lost the daylight, and then I ended up coming inside. I didn't really do a lot of that on camera. Then today I ended up coming out and I got a new comm cable, plugged it into the truck, and I started messing around with the fuel table a little bit. I didn't have my camera on me, so I kind of just got into it, started doing it. I don't know if you remember, a little while back in the video, I mentioned that I kicked off one of the grounds for the cooling fans. But while I was stampeding through here with my gorilla hoof, I snapped off one of the terminals that I have grounded to the cross member for one of the fans. There are two of them right down there, and one of them is off. So no cooling fan for whichever one that was on. And I was not paying attention to the cooling temperature while I was tuning the truck. I ended up stopping because the truck puked its guts all over the place. And when I popped the hood, let me show you what I found. That's where the upper rad hose was. And now it's down here, and it looks like this. So I don't think that's gonna work. This is projects for you. I mean, especially if you're not paying attention. But I wanted to show you guys more in this video. I wanted to throw those spark plug wires on. I'm not touching this thing. It's the temperature of the sun. I wanted to throw those wires in. I wanted to show you guys a little bit of the tuning on the computer. That would certainly not be teaching. That would be just showing you what I'm learning from doing it. But anyway, this is what happens. Sometimes it happens. I could fill the video out with making some balloon animals and stuff and dancing if you guys want, but I don't think that's what you want. Came here to watch. We'll have to get this thing fixed, and then we'll pick up where we left off. Got some other projects, got to get back on that Camaro. So anyway, as always, thank you guys for watching. American Nostalgia Garage, out.